Hey everybody, Ketwolski here, checking in with another one of our hashtag Star Trek discussions videos. Today we're going to be doing a top 5 favorite things list for Star Trek First Contact. I do want to go ahead and say that this video will contain spoilers for the film First Contact, so if you haven't seen that film yet, I need you to go ahead and get all your shit together and put it in a bag and go watch fucking First Contact, and then come back and watch this video. Don't even go check out any other videos on the channel. Just go straight over and watch First Contact and then come right back. So now that we've gotten that little spoiler alert out of the way, let's go ahead and jump right into number 5. Number 5 for me was the reveal of the Enterprise E. For years, almost a decade, well, I guess maybe if you count the other films, you could say a decade of the Enterprise D leading up to its destruction at the end of Star Trek Generations, which is TNG's first film. Spoilers. You know, we actually finally get to see the brand new Enterprise E. So it's really, really fun to see the old TNG crew on board the Enterprise E, which is a much sleeker, more sexier kind of version of the Enterprise, which is a Sovereign class vessel. First time that we've ever seen one of these before. They're also wearing the new uniforms, so they look really, really well. I just love the you know, the look, the design. It was breathtaking watching that ship do a flyby into Sector 001 for the space battle that took place at the beginning of the film. And speaking of that, let's go ahead and jump right into number 4. So number 4 for me is Battle of 001, Sector 001. I mean, you're talking about one of the quintessential badass Star Trek fight sequences that has ever been depicted on screen. I know DS9 had a lot of combat stuff in there, and even Enterprise, to its credit, had a lot of combat in it as well, but this was one of the best on-screen like films that we had seen up to that point, and really only has been recently topped by the J.J. Abrams movies in terms of scale and effects. But, you know, having all of those dozens of Starfleet ships flying around this giant, massive, ominous Borg cube, and that opening shot of it just kind of coming in, and Earth is right off into the distance, and we see the Defiant there with Worf trying to save the day, and then finally the Sovereign Enterprise, which we have not seen in combat. We've just seen it recently. You know, it's just been revealed to us, and it's still new. Even in the universe, they're still in the middle of their shakedown cruise. But you know, they're flying in, and then you could see them taking hits from the Borg cube, and they're not getting damaged like everybody else's, which I think just speaks to how epic the Sovereign class vessel is. But just being able to see these ships in the desperate fight against how, you know, the Borg are, you know, I think satisfied fans, because if you guys remember in this show, TNG episode, Best of Both Worlds, we didn't actually get to see the fight at Wolf 359. We only got to the aftermath of it, and we saw how the Enterprise attempted to stop and then eventually stopped the Borg. So we didn't get to see this huge fleet battle, and I think that in an effort to please fans and to give us something that they know that we really wanted, that we wish we could have seen on the television show, but because of budgets they couldn't really do that, being able to put that opening fight sequence in with that Federation Armada trying to fight the Borg right outside of Earth, I think it definitely just resonated so well with fans, and it's one of the most iconic sequences in any Star Trek film out there, you know, in terms of an action sequence. The next thing I like, of course, being number 3, is Data and the Borg Queen. I liked the banter and the discussions that were happening between the Borg Queen and Data inside the engineering room, where she was putting the human skin onto him and saying, like, listen, you know, you think, you know, you're on your way to perfection, but we can actually put human skin on there and give you what you're looking for, which is to make you human, which is something that Data, you know, struggled with throughout the entire, you know, show, and also into the movies as well. And he even later comments on, you know, that he thought about it for, you know, 0.001 nanoseconds or whatever it was. I'm sure you guys will tell me in the comments below. That he thought about actually accepting her offer, and he said, you know, for an android, that's a lifetime. And to him, yeah, he was faced with the opportunity to really grow and become what it is he aspires to so hardly, but he knows that doing so, he would have sacrificed humanity, essentially, and the Federation. He would have sacrificed all of it. in the end. So he made the right choice, obviously for the greater good. But it was a really interesting sequences, and I really just liked the look of the Queen, and their banter back and forth, and her idea of trying to find the perfect mate, and Data that she found it, and it was just really interesting. Some of the best well-acted sequences, you know, just because of Brent Spiner. Honestly, like, Brent Spiner was just killing it in there. Like, he was great as the methodical Data, and then when she switched back on his emotion chip, he was great at expressing fear and, you know, all those angst emotions and sadness and excitement about having, you know, human skin and human hair and, you know, all that stuff like that. Which, as a side note, is kind of gross, because I'm pretty sure that means they were peeling the skin off of Data's old crewmates and slapping it on, like, his arm and his face, which is... that's pretty gross. That's gross. Number 2 for me is definitely going to be, you know, the man himself. It's going to be Jean-Luc Picard's, you know, epic, really just iconic speech about how he, you know, blows up on Lily about the Borg, and about how he's not going to allow them to continue to invade space or destroy planets, and, you know, all this stuff like that, and that he's going to draw the line here and this far, no further. And he, you know, famously throws his weapon into the glass case that has the all the little gold ships, his little ships in there, and smashes them all into pieces, you know. And it's this amazing sequence between literally a man that's been tormented by the Borg, and who still feels a lot of responsibility and a lot of guilt for what happened in War 359, you know, and for what they did to him as an individual. So he's obviously trying to prevent that from happening, and he's definitely pissed off, and it shows a lot of real raw emotion in that sequence. Beautifully acted. In my opinion, one of the top 2 sequences in all of Star Trek films, second only to the death of Spock sequence at the end of Wrath of Khan. I think that this is right there at number 2 for me personally. Like, this is just one of those great sequences, and even him bouncing off of the character of Lily, who is somebody we're not familiar with really, except for in the context of this film, I thought was really well, because him blowing up on a crew member, you know, it was kind of like whatever, and he blew up on Worf just a few minutes beforehand, and like nobody really did anything about it. But Lily, not being part of his crew, confronted him and challenged his emotions, and really got him to open up his eyes and say, listen, quote-unquote, Captain Ahab, you gotta go hunt your whale. And that's when Picard realizes that he's on just a journey of revenge and retribution, and just a fantastically directed sequence and acted sequence, and just so much raw emotion in there. And it really just captured the feeling that Picard is dealing with, that he's dealt with since the show, since the best of both worlds, the best of both worlds. That it's just not gotten any better for him. So it's pretty crazy, pretty powerful stuff. So that was definitely my number 2 choice. And my final number 1 choice of my top 5 favorite things from Star Trek First Contact is going to be Zefram Cochrane. James Cromwell just killed it in this role. It was just so funny, and it was just such a stark difference from what the, you know, future has built up him as this iconic hero that, you know, made first contact with Vulcans, and he saved the Earth, you know, so to speak, and he developed warp drive, and he was this, you know, super influential, powerful leader, an icon, and a hero to so many, including people that we saw on the Enterprise in this movie, which was a running gag pretty much, and he was this hero type character. But in reality, in the show, or excuse me, in this movie, in reality, he's just some drunk guy that wants, as he says, women and money, and to retire on a private island and just do nothing. And it's just so funny that he, as an individual, embodies, you know, just the opposite, the antithesis of what he's kind of, his legend has grown into in the 23rd, 24th, 25th centuries. And I thought it was just a really good twist. I thought it was a great twist on the character, that he wasn't just like this guy who was trying real hard to get out there and explore the stars. He was just some guy that just wanted to get the hell off the planet and make a shit ton of money, and have a bunch of, like he said, an island full of women and probably booze and bad dancing. But you know, it was just really well done. Like, it was just such a great twist that he was this anti-hero, the reluctant hero, and then eventually he, you know, did the warp test, and he kind of had to accept his role as just being essentially humanity's savior with First Contact right at the end of the film with the Vulcans. So it was just really well done. I thought that was a great move by Jonathan Frakes, who who did the direction of the film, and you know, obviously all the writers and producers and stuff like that. But you know, it was just such a great idea to have him be like the antithesis of what you might expect your heroes to be like. And I thought it was a really good, you know, touch on what it is that we as humans currently think about our past heroes. Like, do we only remember the good things that they've done? You know, do we only remember the things that we like to remember about them that were inspiring and how they, you know, were only in the positive light? Didn't some of our heroes also have, you know, negative things about them? Didn't they also have flaws? They are human after all. So it's interesting to see that in Star Trek, and to also kind of challenge our own internal beliefs about what a hero really is, and are we really looking at heroes in a critical view, or are we just viewing them from, you know, the limelight, as I think a lot of people were still viewing him in the movie, but it seemed like Riker and LaForge kind of recognized what it was he was about. Yeah, bonus top 01. I absolutely love the sequence in the bar with James Cromwell, Zefram Cochrane's dancing, and he's doing this, and you have Deanna Troi completely drunk off of something called tequila, and that whole funny sequence where she passes out and Riker looks at her. Just a great funny sequence. I loved it. It was just a great character development, and I just really thought that scene was funny, and I can still watch it and crack up to this day. Anyways, guys and gals, that concludes today's video. I hope that you enjoyed it. If you did, please throw a like and a subscribe up on the old YouTubes. Follow me on Twitter at RealKetwolski. Follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/RealKetwolski. And I appreciate y'all watching this video, and I will see all of you guys and gals next time. Live long and prosper, my Trekkies!